Scott Landrum was out on the town today, browsing his usual stomping grounds. First, it was the bookstore, where he loved to carouse the new authors as well as the bestseller section. As he was browsing, an older grey-haired man walked by him and said his name. When Mr. Landrum turned to see what the man wanted, there was no response. The man continued as if he had said nothing. Scott dismissed this, thinking he had heard wrong and the man was mumbling to himself. Yet things got stranger as this same event happened again. This time he was checking out fresh fruit at a fruit stand, but it was a police officer. When he turned to see what the officer wanted, the officer did not say anything, but nodded and smiled at him. It was not a subtle nod of acknowledgement, but felt to him more of a nod of recognition. Even stranger was the fact that his face looked the exact same as the older man from earlier. Shaking his head, he continued browsing, thinking that his mind must be playing tricks on him. As he was eating outside, a janitor sweeping the sidewalks nodded to him and smiled, and it was the exact same older man. "Is he following me?" he thought, feeling quite alarmed. After scarfing down his food, he got up to approach the man and asked him why he was bothering him. When he realized the janitor was nowhere in sight, unsettled, he became more and more paranoid as he went on about his day. He expected any moment for the grey-haired man to appear and smiled at him in recognition. There was something strangely familiar about the man, but he could not place it. Mr. Landrum made his way to the downtown mall and was immediately creeped out when he noticed the two security guards outside and that both of them were the grey-haired man. "Afternoon, Mr. Landrum," they said simultaneously and smiled. This made Scott hurry inside the mall. This wasn't possible. They couldn't both be him. This was maybe some sort of prank. He looked around the area but found no camera crews or anyone following him that could indicate he was being filmed. As he walked through the mall, random people walking by wore the same face of the man, nodding, winking or waving at him as if all of these strangers knew him. Feeling like he was going to have a panic attack, he sat down at a bench and put his head between his legs and began breathing slow and deep. This helped his heart rate to slow down and he closed his eyes to block out everything around him to focus. Once completely calm, he raised up his head and almost fell out of the bench in shock. Everything in the mall had stopped, seeming to freeze in time. Even the noise and bustle of white noise had stopped, leaving an uncomfortably silence in the air. A circle of people, all dressed in different clothes, surrounded Scott Landrum. They all raised their hands and pointed at him, their faces void and emotionless. "Stop it!" he cried and stood up in anger. They didn't respond, not moving a single muscle in their creepy status. Their fingers still pointed in a mocking accusation. "What do you want? Why are you doing this?" Still no reply. "Leave me alone!" Then they began moving forward, closing in the circle on him. Petrified, he fell into a fetal position, his hand covering his head as they breached the gap, and soon they were all upon him. He felt his arm being restrained and he began to scream, "Let me go! What have I done? Mr. Landrum, hold still please," the nurse said in agitation. "We can't help you if you keep struggling this way. Please, this will make you feel better." "Who is he? Why is he doing this? Let go of my arm!" "Mr. Landrum, your arms are restrained in a jacket so you don't harm yourself. Please sit still. Breathing heavily, Scott finally stopped screaming long enough for one of the orderlies to administer a dose of sedative. In less than a minute, Mr. Landrum collapsed and was placed on his bed. The nurse returned back on her station and began filling out a form detailing the incident. The head doctor came in and asked her what had happened, to which she explained, "Another episode then. Did he say anything about the man this time?" "No, doctor, he will tell us soon. All he will say is that he follows him around wherever he goes, which is all a complete delusion. He's been here for what, 5 or 6 years? Yes, and no improvement since, unfortunately. What did he do that landed him here anyway?" "He killed a man, for reasons unknown to anyone, because of his condition. They have never gotten a rational enough conversation out of him." "This is so sad." "I know. Why someone would just attack and kill a 65-year-old man like that? I just can't fathom it. His family and friends all said he was such a kind man, always smiling.